Hi everyone, LazyFire here. Welcome back to Battlefield 4 Multiplayer. Today we are going to be playing on Zavid 311, and I'm going to be using pretty much all the vehicles in the fucking game, or at least in this map. And I have some new loadouts that I really wanted to show off, and the game's actually kind of fun to watch. I did cut about 10 minutes of footage out of this thing, but yeah, there's a lot of new stuff I have just really been appreciating since the last time I did a video. Anyways, I got lucky here, I should say, and I got into the LAVAD. This is the American anti-air tank, and it is absolutely fantastic. I love the anti-air tanks. They're just really fun to use. They take out vehicles pretty quickly if you can aim them. I am terrible at hitting these things at a distance, but most of these guys in helicopters, they get a little too close to you, and they just go down. Now, I do not use the missiles on these things. I like to use the rocket pods, and I learned this from somebody else who plays Chrono Jam, and he's just a really fantastic AA driver, and will just destroy people all game, go like 40-2 inside an LAV. It's absolutely ridiculous. And those guys tried to land to repair, but that didn't work out for them. And occasionally you can pull that off. I can pull it off every now and again with it. The main gun on this thing, the 30mm cannon that I'm using, is actually really good for taking out infantry. Right there you just saw me fire off a single rocket pod. I will talk about why I did that in a moment. But the rocket pods here, instead of using the missiles, are absolutely fantastic. First and foremost, they can take out vehicles in just about 9 or 10 shots from one of these things. Combine it with your gun, and watch how fast this LAV goes down. Combine it with your gun, and it just goes so quickly. I have active protection on, so this guy can't hit me with his own rocket pods. He either already popped his before or just doesn't have it. And goodbye. All on my own. I took about 40 points of damage right there. Not too bad considering, and my escape is hilariously inept. Oh well, so much for looking smooth here. Now the big thing about having those rocket pods is that they are just absolute murder on armor. And if you want to take out armor with an LAV, take your high capacity gun, the 30mm, the high round, larger round gun like the 30mm, and just unload it into the vehicle that you're targeting. And after you've done that, switch over to the rocket pods, fire the rocket pods, switch over to the gun again because it's stopped overheating by now, and fire on the thing again, and then switch back over to the rocket pods to finish it off. It's actually a much longer process to talk about than to do. And as you saw there, it's a pretty simple one that takes out the vehicles pretty quickly, especially if you have active protection and they don't have anything to go through it. You'll see in a bit that this is actually viable against heavier armor too. I just really like the anti-aircraft gun. It feels like it's a good balance of being able to take out shit that's in the air and being able to defend itself from stuff on the ground. Now, if a tank rolls up on it and gets the first shot on, it's very likely that the tank driver will win the fight if he's at all competent or has active protection on his side, because, well, the rocket pods are very vital to this strategy. And if he takes those away from you for a few seconds, that can be the end of it. Right there, I got hit hard. I let him get a second hit in. I did not waste my active until I knew he was going to be firing on me again. Let's take out that guy. Goodbye. Didn't quite have enough time there, though. As you saw, that was the end of a goddamn tank at the hands of an LAVAD. That's got to be embarrassing. Now, there are people who are much better at it than I am. I'm not going to claim that I'm a great driver of any vehicle in this game. I'm okay at actually flying the Little Bird and the jets, but I will still make stupid mistakes with both of those. However, with the LAVAD and the other mobile anti-aircraft tanks, you can basically guarantee yourself at least a couple kills, if not on helicopters and jets, then on infantry. Because infantry is dumb enough that they'll just come at you like that. They believe that their C4 is going to protect them. It doesn't. I've rushed my own share of LAVADs and Tunguskas and such, and oftentimes they're going to take you out before you can get anywhere near them because they just put so many bullets downrange, it's ridiculous. You'll see I'm not using the AWS or the PKP Pechnik. I am actually using the RPK-12. This is one of my favorite guns, very quickly becoming one anyways. It's just absolutely fantastic for a lot of reasons. One, it shoots about the same rate as the AWS. It's a bit more stable overall, especially if you have a grip on it like I do. It does about the same damage as the AWS, and it reloads faster. Now, it only has 61 bullets per magazine, but it reloads so fast that it doesn't really matter. And those bullets don't go out that fast that you have to worry about reloading after every fight. You'll see in a little bit, it just basically is an assault rifle that happens to be for the support kit. Just absolutely fantastic. I suggest everyone at least give it a try if they're playing support, because it's just a lot of fun to use. It's good at a distance, it's great medium range especially. Close range, AWS is probably going to knock you on your ass about 9 times out of 10. As a matter of fact, keep watching the kill feed or when I die, and you'll see that I do die to a lot of AWSs in this. It's basically the starter support weapon. It's basically a better version of that, which has a 50-round magazine, isn't really all that stable. I wouldn't suggest it. You're better off actually going into the campaign, beating the I never thought I'd say these words. You're better off playing the campaign of Battlefield 4 and getting the weapon you get for killing Irish at the end to play with instead of using the starter support weapon. That thing sucks. Well, so much for that jihad kill. I was going to blow up that thing with me if I could. Now, I have a couple things on this. I don't have the flash hider yet. That's going to be the big thing I want to get, and that comes in battle packs. What I really want in this thing is to get that flash hider, to get a bit better red dot sight, and if I could, I'd like to get the potato grip as well. Just, I want to see how it looks on this thing. I already have the stubby grip on it, which makes it a goddamn laser, but at the same time, the potato grip's kind of fun to look at. And the use of transport helicopters as taxis is still alive and well, as you'll see in a moment. This guy crashes us into a tree. Why he did that when B is literally 10 feet away? I don't know. I couldn't explain that to you if I wanted to. The fact of the matter is that this server is by and large populated by people with 180 plus ping. There's one guy in the other team with like a 260 ping or something like that. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Where these people are playing from must be goddamned Antarctica or the moon. And I actually make that reference at one point, so I guess that's kind of a less cool statement now. But yeah, my point stands. I don't know what it is. This was a Saturday morning, so maybe you know, other countries were out in kind of full force. I know that Puerto Rico and Brazil both rely on servers in Canada, so that might have been it. And right here, I cannot hit the broadside of a barn with this thing, but it doesn't matter because I had enough to kill 2 people, reload, turn around, suppress that guy, and then walk over here and down 1 more guy. That's pretty great. Now, the fact of the matter is I do have the high frequency updates on at the highest speed possible, and I do have my network smoothing factor down to 0. So I'm in a pretty good spot in terms of connection. And I've got 150 meters in any single, 150 feet in any single direction, just about, to get a high frequency update on. So those guys should have had no problem getting hit, but it happened. Right here, I'm being a little careful in the LAV. I do have a new setup. This is something suggested by a guy in the Xbox thread, his male lover, who is a guy I used to play with on the Xbox 360 and Battlefield 3. He suggests using the LAV with the thermal optics, so you can see people coming after you, and use instead of the zoom optics, and using rocket pods and the main weapon that the thing starts you with, the HE shells, instead of the AP shells that I use. I've actually stuck with the AP shells, but I've changed everything up to match his suggestions. Now, one of his other suggestions, and this is why I fired that single rocket off with the LAV-80 earlier on, is to fire a single round, reload, and then switch, fire a single round, reload on both your weapons. The reason he suggests this is because in vehicles, if you happen to use a magazine-based weapon, not something like the tank where it's got one-shot reloads, but something like the LAV's main cannon or the rocket pods, if you fire one off and then reload, the little reload bar starts up and it gives you a full magazine to compensate for just the loss of 1 shell. Now, I actually ran into something like that in one of the videos I did on the Little Bird, where that exact thing happened. I die here pretty easily. No support, really. That's the big problem. Actually, the bigger problem was that Rich keeps dying. The guy who's my gunner here was firing at people when I was trying to flank them, and that just let him know that we were there, and that did not help anything. But anyways, by firing those shots off, otherwise I would never have known this, you just get all your ammo back. Absolutely fantastic, and the ammo refreshes pretty quickly. You'll probably get through a first fight or two before you have to worry about that. But the LAV with rocket pods is a lot like the mobile anti-aircraft tank with rocket pods. It's just going to be able to take out vehicles like tanks and everything else pretty easily, as long as they don't use active protection immediately. If they do start using active protection, just be aware of it. As long as you're looking for it, you'll know not to fire on them. Now, there's unfortunately not a ton you can do about that if they have active protection and you don't, or you're trying not to launch it. But, yeah, I mean, what can you do? And here we go. I'm going to get into this bunker because I am getting shot at a ton. I can't really identify, I can't speak today either, where this person was shooting me from. Could not tell you if I had to. And there's a lot of this video where I am just on the ground waiting for my health to regen. These guys on my team were nowhere near me ever, and I was of course nowhere near them. But they weren't a lot of help either. So right here I am just like, I'm gonna hang out in here and just regen some health and hope for the best. And maybe, just maybe, this tank will come close enough I can run out and C4 it. Instead I get a grenade on my feet. I didn't understand where that came from, and this guy just walked in and DMR'd me. As you can see, he was not really the kindest man in the world, and he's an engineer. Keep that in mind. I get into a few vehicles in this game, and for whatever reason, it feels like engineers are constantly in my face. That's possibly because most of their team was engineers. I wouldn't put it past them, because I was getting locked, I was getting shot. It was very difficult to really get anywhere in vehicles. Now, the bigger problem with this may have come from the fact that I think my teammates were giving the enemy team our vehicles at one point or another. There are a few cases where I was not really paying attention to this fact, but I was sort of watching the minimap and watching the spawn screen. I never noticed our team riding around in the tanks, never noticed our team riding around in our LAV from F. F. And I never really saw a ton of our team in the Little Bird. And I thought that was kind of weird. And then I noticed we were never in the mobile anti-aircraft gun. And I thought, this is strange. This isn't right. And what I think was happening was somebody on our team had friends on the other team, because this does scramble at random or something like that. And that was causing the problems I was having. The enemy team was basically able to get all of our vehicles because people were handing them over. This is that Blood Hunter character I was telling you about. He's the guy with the 200 some odd ping. I don't understand how he does that. A server I have like 50 ping to will go up to 300 ping if I'm loading a video up to YouTube. And that's about the only time it goes like that. So I have no idea what he's doing. Playing on the world's worst Wi-Fi connection, I have no idea. So I'm a little concerned for that man. I don't think you could have fun with that. The big thing about the high-frequency update, or the high-frequency netcode patch, or whatever you want to call it, is that it does put a bubble around you of high-frequency updates. And so if you get outside of that bubble, or people will start firing on you from outside of that bubble, the fact of the matter is there's a lot of interpolation between where they fired from and their bubble ends and where your bubble begins. And so sometimes you're just not going to hit the targets even if you're aiming dead at them. So that's just something you have to deal with. But if you happen to have somebody with a really high ping, they're going to be able to get away with a little bit more shit. Simply because they have a bit higher ping and they can manage to just step out of the way of bullets because of their ping situation. Right now I'm doing kind of okay, just barely scraping by here in a lot of ways. Our team is doing alright though. Look at the scores. And watch this. I don't need 100 rounds to kill that motherfucker. But yes, I've cut quite a bit out of this thing. Last time you saw me before this, I had like 11 kills. So I've just moved up to 12, and I had only like 3 deaths. So you can tell this is not really going well. But we're getting a little bit of work done here. Sneaking through here. These guys are going to spend a lot of time up at F. This guy jumped out. One of the things I noticed is my team is not great at spotting people. Man, another squad assist counts as kill. 97 points. A lot of the time, if I'm getting into a firefight with somebody and I die to them, you'll see that they're ending up with 9 points, 3 points of health, stuff like that. It meant that I was really 1 point off from just destroying them, or 1 bullet or a strong breeze off. So, not a bad situation. If you can get them down that low, most of the time someone will just mop them up. The nice thing about this area is that it's large enough that you can get away from people, but it's small enough that there's usually a teammate nearby or an enemy nearby. You're not running around like a moron doing nothing. Right now, I'm running around like a moron looking for their radio beacon. I can hear something, and they have people that are just dropping into the point. I think it's actually out of helicopters, like they just did here. Waiting for them to fall. Oh well, so much for that. But yes, the fact of the matter is these guys are just out here, and I'm going to keep saying the fact of the matter until it's not funny anymore. So watch this weird confrontation I have. Beamed him in the face with a grenade. I'll take that death and the kill. Thank you very much. But yeah, that's the power of the RPK. You can take out about 3 people very short order. The enemies are at the gate here up on F still, and I get a pretty lucky spawn. I get right behind them. And the other thing about this is that the enemy team has a commander and we don't. This usually isn't a huge deal. As a matter of fact, I would say it's not even a problem, really. But having some of those assets on the map is very beneficial to a team with a commander, and when you don't have one, well, there's no real point in going after the cruise missile point or anything like that, and so people won't do it all the time. God, I hate these people. This is the point where I realized they must have a spawn beacon out here somewhere. Because there's no way they can keep getting here unless they have either a person spawning them in, or they have a spawn beacon. So, me and this other guy are going to go clear this place out. One of the things you're going to notice is that despite the fact that there's not a lot of squad orders being fulfilled, there's a lot of assists going on, so our squad bar is actually filling up pretty well. Unfortunately, we don't really cover each other too great here, and we end up having some issues. Who cares? It's not a huge deal. Actually, I considered cutting this section out, but you know, this is the length you have to go to sometimes to get these spawn beacons out of here. And spawn beacons can be a major, major problem on a map like this where there's a lot of space to hide them. There's a lot of people who can drop in. Right here, there's an ammo crate that's coming in from the commander. Pretty nice deal for them. But our team is doing kind of okay in taking the other team's points. I cannot for the life of me see the guy shooting at me. And no one wants to tag these guys. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh well. You can see they just took it. And once again, look on the map. They have a tank. We don't have any vehicles outside of our transport vehicles. Very strange. These guys up here drive me a little nuts. They're going to be up there for most of the game, and unfortunately, they've got a pretty good monopoly on that area. Now, there's only a few things you can really do about that. One is you can take a little bird and just start mowing those guys down if they don't have any engineers. Good luck getting that situation to work out for you. Two, you could go up there yourself and clear them out. You'll see that I do make that attempt. Jeez, if I won both those fights, that would have been the end of it. I would be a hacker in a second. But there was a bit of a jump there, so I did agree with that person that there were lag spikes. Oh, there's our little bird at the bottom there. See it? Okay, I guess it was around. Look at this. These guys are everywhere, aren't they? I can't even spawn in without walking into one. And that man's using the PKP Pechneg. That's great. And I'm giving my team a pep talk. I forgot I did that. And look, the Abrams. Okay, so the Abrams has a new fun thing that people told me about in the thread. I think this was mostly from the PC thread that mentioned this. But I was a real big believer in the heavy machine gun for a long time on this thing, your coaxial HMG. However, it turns out that there's a better secondary weapon for taking out infantry, which is what I use that for. That is the canister shell. Now, the canister shell is not super effective against, say, helicopters, which was really good against helicopters in Battlefield 3. In Battlefield 4, the canister shell is mostly used against infantry. And oh boy, it's great. It's basically a shotgun on a tank. Now, you might be saying, you just missed 2 shots on a man who's barely moving. Yes, I know. I'm an idiot. I'm bad with this thing. I'm still getting to use it. However, 1-hit mobility kill, 2 hits. Goodbye. Gotta love it. Absolutely one of the best weapons in this fucking game for that sort of thing. Taking out people quickly, just destroying their ability to fight back against you. You know, the HMG leaves a little bit of time where when you start firing on somebody, they can kind of turn it around and maybe get a rocket or 2 into you. Not with this thing. It's basically instant death if they're close enough to you. My active protection is still 2 seconds off from being useful, so these locks I'm getting here and the LAWs that are hitting me are really dangerous, actually. Normally I don't classify LAW weaponry as dangerous, but in that case it was. Not a lot of these guys end up using RPGs. I will die to a couple of those, or I'll have people fire a couple of those on me, but for the most part these guys seemed really keen on using lock-on weapons like javelins and LAWs, and that's fine. They just didn't seem to have anyone using a SOFLAM or a PLD to really help them out. Right here I'm hoping to take out maybe somebody up on that platform and be able to roll down there a little bit more safely, because some of them did end up having C4 from their recon positions, so I want to be a little bit aware of that fact. Unfortunately, that doesn't really pay off for me. I do stupid shit all the time. I don't think really well. My brain is all confused, and I end up walking into stupid shit and getting stuck on stuff because I don't drive a lot of tanks. It's sort of like that episode of The Simpsons where the guy says we don't drive tanks a lot in the Air Force. That's kind of me. Here I pop active protection and still get hit in the back. Either someone was firing sabot shells or, I don't know, I'm an idiot. Probably both. Ah, right there. That was somebody firing. Goodbye. An SRAW. God, I love that thing. If I had to hit that guy with the HMG, I probably would not have killed him, but thank God for canister shells. So I'm jumping around a little bit here. We're only about 20 points in the lead, a little less. My teammate here, Samson, has been taking this vehicle, parking it in certain places, and then just firing with it. And he actually stood outside of the F point for quite some time, not really doing anything with this vehicle, so I decided to take him on a ride. Give him a chance to gun down some people in a good old-fashioned drive-by. Unfortunately, I don't know what that was. It was great when I died to it. I think that guy may or may not have thrown down a slam like right in front of him. I don't know. That was absolutely fantastic that I just went up in the air though, so I don't think it was an RPG or anything like that. I think it was a straight-on slam. Alright, once again, you look at my team. We don't have any vehicles save for the Little Bird. Weird. Here I have effected a classic flanking maneuver on these roof Wookiees. They get their punishment as they deserve. And I figure I'll go clear out the other roof as well. Yeah, guess I have to go all the way over there. Now, as much as I like the RPK for middle to close range engagements, the long range leaves something to be desired at times. And firing across those roofs, while not a difficult task, would have still been kind of bad. I don't trust it enough to use it in that range, let's say it that way. With the AWS, you can just fire on stuff and eventually it'll hit enough bullets to kill something, which is a nice feature if you have it, but at the end of the day, not totally necessary, and it doesn't really make you look like a better player. It just looks like somebody who can throw a lot of lead down range. The RPK, by comparison, is a bit of a finesse weapon because of the 40 fewer rounds that you have in this thing, and the faster reloads just make it absolutely monstrous. That's probably the saving grace of this thing. It just reloads so quickly that even the fewer rounds and sometimes it feels like reduced damage. That guy took about 4 shots to kill. It feels pretty good most of the time, so I recommend it. But just make sure you get your grips on. And sometimes people like Bloodhunter here, who you have a pretty good beat on, just happen to have 200 some odd ping. So they can just dance through your bullets. See? I ask him, he doesn't really tell me. I'm kind of sad about that. I want to know more about Bloodhunter's playing habits and where he happens to be playing from. This is important to me. I need to know now. There are, and I mentioned this in the locker video that we did, that really intense match, there are a lot of Brazilians playing right now. And I know this because I jumped into a locker match. One of my first things when I pulled up the RPK and said, yeah, I'm going to try this. I joined a locker match to get a feel for it. It's just a meat grinder map. There's not going to be a lot of vehicles. It's going to be all small arms engagements. And honestly, it felt really good, but I was missing these really easy shots. And I realized the guys I'm missing these shots on are like 10 feet away, but they have 200 some odd ping. They're just going to waltz through these bullets. Which is the sad part of this update, is that despite the updates and everything, ping's still going to matter. And because the server population in the US servers is a lot of high ping people playing from not the US, and not a lot of servers have automatic ping kick anymore, it means that we're in a bad spot. Here I'm reunited with my favorite, the Jihad Jeep, or Jihad ATV. I know where their mobile anti-aircraft gun is, or one of the mobile anti-aircraft guns on this map is. I think the other one's ours, and I think they have that too. But I know where this one is. Watch this. Where do you think you're going? And then boom. He survived a couple extra seconds there. Doing the Lord's work. Oh man. So you can see, because of that, we have a bit clearer shot to B. I can't really complain about that too much. Now this is one of those maps where the enemy team grabbing a chopper from your team isn't that uncommon because, hey, they can just fly over and take it. So it's kind of not surprising in my head that they have one of our choppers, possibly. It is actually a pretty fucking national pastime in Battlefield games, because people would do this in Battlefield 3 as well, because the protection zone, the spawn protection zone, could be nullified by someone being in a helicopter. So if you happen to be in a helicopter and you wanted to take the other team's helicopters or jets, all you had to do was fly over and drop your helicopter off, maybe from a great height so it would explode, and then take the other team's helicopter on your way out. Very, very viable. And you reset your timer every time you jumped in or out of the helicopter. So you could even, say, drop the helicopter, throw some C4 on the old one, and then fly off in the new one. Not only would you deny the enemy team an asset, you would be taking yours back, eventually. I hate slams. I should have really been paying attention to that. I knew they were there because I had had another turn in the LAV in a section I cut, and I walked right over them there. But even with our fewer vehicles, you can see we're starting to stem the tide here a little bit. We've got 4 of the 6 points, and it's slowly turning a bit. I mean, we are losing points like E, and we will always be losing points like E. That's just going to be the case, but look at that. Good distance kill with this thing. If you see me use the magnifier on this thing, you'll see it's not really that great. It jumps and kicks when you use it pretty hard, so you kind of have to use it almost like a semi-auto weapon instead. Yeah, whatever, dude. I killed Bloodhunter from a mile away. You can stab me all you want with your "Don't Revive Me, Bro" tag. Congratulations on your shitty tag from a thing that barely produces content. I don't know why I just went on that rant against the "Don't Revive Me, Bro" guys. That seemed kind of weird. Anyways, you can see here, we've got people moving around, taking points. I'm going to do what I can here. I kind of want to just stem the tide as much as possible. As much as I hate using the same words over and over, it is a good statement to make. Bloodhunter here, once again, gets the kill on me. I had actually left a server earlier in the day because there were too many people with too high pings. Look at, there's a guy on our team with 251 fucking ping. In what universe is that okay? And now I am actually driving around with Rich Keeps Dying, the guy who was the gunner for me a little while earlier. I don't like this. There's too many guys in this E area here, And honestly, there's too many of them who are engineers as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an advanced flanking maneuver and try to get these guys who are hiding in these crates. This is one of those things that you can kind of participate in if you're a good LAV gunner. You'll know when to get out of the vehicle as well as stay in it with your team. Hey, we actually have our LAV AD now, so maybe I did kill the guy who took our LAV. I don't know. The team I'm playing on and the server in general had some really annoying habits that most Battlefield players kind of work themselves out of pretty early on, and one of them is jumping out of vehicles the second danger presents itself. And yeah, I know I could have probably turned at that guy and put a couple of shots at him, but honestly, I don't think it would have worked any. He had me dead to rights. I wasn't going to do anything to him, so I was hoping to get maybe a couple shots at somebody or maybe spot him or something, just to help the team out slightly. Once again, jumping in here with Rich, he's moving towards B, which is good for us. Right here, I'm going to try to help him out a little bit. It looks like he also has... That guy just took a lot of shots. It looks like he also has the AP rounds instead of the more viable HE rounds on this map. I mean, it is very much an infantry map. What I just did there was I threw a little C4 down, hoping that their LAV-AD or Tunguska or whatever it happens to be does come down this way, and maybe I can get it when it comes into B and tries to get us. If not, then whatever. Anyways, yes, this team and the server were populated by people who would jump out of vehicles at a moment's notice for no reason. And this is kind of accentuated because on a map 2 rounds before this, we're playing Dawnbreaker, and I ran up to C, where the enemy team had just driven a tank, and 2 guys had just gotten out of it. So I just took it. I just took their tank from them. Yeah, headshot. And it had 68 health. Neither of them were engineers. I just downed them both immediately with, well, I ran over the first one, and then with the second one, I hit him with the cannon. I hit him with the scattergun cannon, Jesus Christ. And that did okay, but you can see I'm actually absolutely low ping for this server. It's crazy. But yes, RPK, LAV, LAV-AD, tank, a lot of new updates on this one with how I play. So I hope people enjoyed this. We got the win just by 20 tickets. Out of a 1,000 ticket game, that's kind of impressive. So, thank you for watching, everyone. I will see you next time when we do more stupid shit in Battlefield, I hope. Anyways, bye.